And this will be the last one, right? From Fox News. So you remember yesterday we had an article, and I was talking about how the left wants to always rampage because a conservative will say something and they'll say, "Oh, it's Islamophobic, it's racist or something like that." And they'll do everything in their power to deplatform them. But when conservatives get upset about the language of the left, it's typically always the most extreme language, like talking about erasing societies or killing people or something like that. So what we have here is from Fox News. University of Kentucky professor sues after being barred from law school after calling for an end to Israel. This is exactly what I was just talking with Adol Gaming, right? I was talking to him about this. What this is one of the problems in this country. Why we don't have common sense and why we can't have common sense is because we have legislated common sense out of our society. Because if a professor can sue the university that he's working at because he's now being barred from the law school because he was calling for an end to Israel, like what? What? A place of employment should be able to fire you for any fucking reason. You're late. You don't come into work like you don't have high hygiene standards, right? You're talking about like how is it that a place of employment can fire you for telling someone you want to have sex with them, but a place of employment can't fire you for you talking about you want an entire country erased from the face of the earth? Huh? What kind of double standard is that? Now I agree. People should be able to be fired by their place of employment for them talking about wanting to have sex with another individual that they work with or something like that. Just like an individual should be able to be fired by that place of employment based on any other speech that they fucking engage in. Because that doesn't prevent them from having that speech. They can go create their own little fucking social media world, and they can do YouTube or Twitch or Kick or whatever, and they can talk about this shit and they can make a living. No one is suppressing them from saying that. You know what actually is a violation of the First Amendment? Gag orders by judges, where they literally prevent you from speaking because they will exercise the force of government against you if you do speak. You getting fired for your job isn't you being prevented from speaking. You're just dealing with the consequence of your behavior. Just like if you rape someone, if you touch someone inappropriately, if you're talking about having sexual intercourse with someone or stuff like that, right? A lot of repercussions you face are societal implications that aren't enforced against you by the government, but by society. This is one of those things where the professor absolutely should be barred and should lose his tenure if he's tenured, which he's a professor, so he most likely is, right? A University of Kentucky law professor claims he was pulled from teaching and barred from his law school building after posting a petition calling for military action against Israel is suing the university, alleging First Amendment retaliation and other constitutional violations. It's not it's you don't have a First Amendment right for calls to action, and you don't have First Amendment rights when it pertains to the First Amendment rights of another institution. If they feel like they don't want you to be part of their organization because you aren't aligned with their message, that's their right. But you notice how giving the right to the professor to sue them and claim that his First Amendment was violated is violating the First Amendment of the university. Romsey Woodcock, a tenured law professor at the J. David Rosenberg College of Law. Bro, you work at a college, a Jewish college, and you're calling to the end of the Jewish state? God damn, are you retarded? How the fuck are you even a professor? You're that retarded. That's like me going to work for a Muslim company and all I ever do is talk about hating Muslims. I would just be retarded at that point. He filed a federal lawsuit on November 13th claiming administrators punished him for political speech made outside the classroom, including a 2024 petition for military action against Israel he posted online, right? It doesn't matter. Your speech outside of an organization reflects on the institution that you work for. Do you think it's acceptable if someone in their free time burns crosses and says that all black people should be killed for them being black and then they should be able to still work and operate in society? No. No reasonable person would agree with that. Um, we demand that every country in the world make war on Israel immediately and until such time as Israel is submitted permanently and unconditionally to the government of Palestine everywhere from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. The petition on his website called the Anti-Zionist Legal Studies Movement. Wow, dude. So he's not a and this is the thing, right? My argument would be like based on his own petition, he doesn't actually understand law, and he can't even be considered credible to teach law at this university when what he's calling for is the violation of not only like our own domestic laws but a violation of it like numerous international law as well. um on his website, Woodcock argues that Israel is committing genocide against Palestinians and does not have a right to exist. He has called for the international community to bring an end to Israel. According to the complaint, Woodcock has expressed similar views since early 2024 with no issue, sharing them as at faculty research seminars, conferences, law school meetings, online discussions, and his blog. So you mean at the height of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel fucking notions and attacks against Jewish students at universities and against Israel at universities across this country, people weren't having a problem with it because they were scared to speak up against you because they were afraid of themselves being attacked. And then after we got an administration who finally said, yeah, you can't be doing this shit, now people are taking action against you because they're tired of being the ones scared and that you should be the one that's scared. Imagine that. He says that changed after Kentucky passed Joint Resolution 55 in April 2025, directing public universities to combat anti Semitism, utilizing the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition. Okay? So you literally called for all countries in the world to wage war against Israel, slaughtering everyone in Israel to completely eradicate Israel, right? Which is a genocide. And then your premise for waging this war of genocide against Israel and the Jews and the Israelis is they're committing a genocide. I don't think this guy is mentally capable of existing in society, and he should actually be placed in an insane asylum. On July 18th, University of Kentucky President Eli Ludo issued a public statement calling Woodcock's rhetoric repugnant and not reflective of the university's views. That same day, the lawsuit says the university administratively reassigned Woodcock to 100% professional development, canceled his classes, barred him from the law building, and hired outside counsel for an investigation. This allowed a July 9th meeting at which a vice provost told Woodcock they had received reports he had spoken about genocide at conferences and questioned a link to his personal website on his College of Law profile page. Okay, so imagine this, guys. They didn't fire him and they didn't stop paying him. They basically put him on paid administrative leave to seek professional development because of his behavior. And then they hired the college themselves hired a third-party investigator to investigate these claims. So they're doing everything by the book. And he's claiming that he's being discriminated against. When again, he didn't lose his job. He didn't lose his job and he didn't stop getting paid. They're investigating reports against him. Just like any college should basically put an administrator on leave and investigate them if they're accused of killing people, murdering people, raping people, engaging in fucking grand larceny, like shit like that. Anytime a member of your institution is accused of something and it's somewhat credible, the organization should remove you from contact with the outside world, basically, in their professional capacity, and then launch an investigation. That's reasonable. Woodcock is asking the court to declare Kentucky's measure unconstitutional, prohibit the university from relying on the IHRA definition in disciplinary matters, halt the ongoing investigation, restore its teaching and campus access, and award compensatory and punitive damages plus attorney fees. I really hope he fucking loses this lawsuit. And I hope after losing this lawsuit, then he's removed from his tenure and his position. The lawsuit names as defendants University President Eli Capiloto, Provost Robert DePaula, General Counsel William Thoreau, Law Dean James Duff, and Education Secretary Linda McMahon in her official capacity. How? This is the best part. So the provost, right, and General Counsel, Law Dean James Duff, So like literally, so you have multiple individuals that are just responsible for heading up the investigation into him, and he's suing them as well for launching an investigation into him, right? And then he's suing the president of the university because he was put on leave, but he's still being paid. Blayton said its academic freedom policy is consistent with the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals and protects speech within a professor's area of expertise, but does not extend to creating a hostile environment, which is what it tasked outside counsel to review. He added that the university also has the right to express its own values and will limit further comment while the investigation proceeds. In a statement, Woodcock told Fox News Digital Israel is a colonization project that practices apartheid and is currently exterminating 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. The scandal is not what I am calling for immediate military action at Israel, but what the university is willing to violate our nation's constitution in order to preserve Israel. What? Every American has a First Amendment right to oppose Israel and look forward to holding the university accountable for breaking the law. They didn't break the law. They're not preventing you from saying that. You can say that all you want. Go ahead. Be a retard on the internet and say dumb shit like that. You're literally calling for a genocide of an entire country of people because you're claiming they're committing a genocide. While at the same time that you're saying that they're committing a genocide, the Palestinian people have a higher birth rate, right, than their mortality rate. More Palestinians since Israel was reestablished in the United Nations, the birth rate to mortality rate in Palestine has always been higher. So what the fuck is your evidentiary standard for a genocide being committed? Because if there's 2 million people in Gaza, right, and we have no legitimate information about the casualty count originating from Gaza, but you are going to believe you're going to fucking assert that your entire belief structure is based on information that's given to you by an internationally syndicated fucking terrorist organization, that being Hamas of the Gaza Health Ministry, telling you that it's 60,000. I don't know if you know this. I really don't know if you guys fucking know this. Okay? But October of 2023, Palestine started a war. And we basically got up to October of 2025, which means it's 2 years. So in a 2-year time span, right? Israel only managed to kill 30,000 fucking Palestinians a year in Gaza, and that's a genocide? Are you fucking crazy? Are you fucking crazy to claim that as a genocide? A genocide is the complete and total systematic extermination of a group of people. You think that the most advanced military power in the Middle East was only capable of killing 60,000 people in the most densely populated, one of the most densely populated regions on planet Earth? Only 60,000 in a 2-year time frame? That doesn't meet any common sense standard of genocide. What you're applying is the same international law that you're trying to violate is the same international standard of genocide that you're trying to apply to the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. How does that fucking make sense? I'm not asking you to change your fucking logic. I'm asking you to apply it equally. So if you are going to advocate for the violation of the same international law that you're claiming is being violated, then just shut the fuck up. That's all I'm asking for you to do. You just admit that you want to violate the same law that you're upset that you're claiming that somebody else is violating. And it's the same exact law, right? It's the exact same standard that was made by the exact same fucking international organization that's predominantly anti-Semitic, like provenly anti-Semitic, and a huge percentage of them are Islamic, right? Clearly, everything you've come to your bias on, or your conclusion on, it was all just created by people who share your mentality and not actually any third-party agencies that are impartial. But I hope he loses this lawsuit. We'll fucking see. Because I don't think you should be able to sue because you're being fired from your job based on your behavior. And your language, your rhetoric is part of your behavior. Now, if you're getting fired from your job, right? Because you won't take an experimental vaccine, yeah, you should be able to sue the fuck out of that company or the government, right? If you're getting fired from your job, right? So say you're a Muslim, but while you're at work, you aren't engaging in Muslim practices and you're just doing your job and you aren't talking about Islamic ideology or anything like that at work. And you're literally just getting fired based on the premise of you being a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew. Part of me thinks you should be able to sue for that. But at the exact same time, I don't think you should be able to sue because you and a company disagree ideologically. Right? Or if you're doing things in your professional or personal capacity to undermine that company, you shouldn't be able to fucking sue them, right? So say a Muslim works at a company, but every day after work, he and all of his Muslim friends fucking show up to protest the company, saying that they're fascists and shit like that. The company has no fucking obligation to keep you hired on, right? That makes no sense, right? No fucking sense whatsoever. If you work for the company and you get paid for the company, but while you're working, you're not doing anything, but in your professional capacity, you're literally doing things to economically damage the company. Yes, the company should be able to fire you for that. It's plain and simple. You're not there is no you have no right for a company to hire you or to keep you hired on. You only have the right to not be discriminated against solely based on an immutable like difference, right? You can't not hire someone and you can't fire someone just because they're black. But if they're a black person and they're talking about how black people need to kill everybody at the company, yeah, you can fucking you can fire them. Like, what the fuck? That's just common sense. But we seem to be lacking that in this country, and everybody knows that.
With the beat of the drum and the fife so high, we march with courage under the sky. Banners wave and hearts on fire, in the name of freedom we aspire. Through valleys green and mountains gray,